And there we go. So welcome everyone to today's stream. Today's is gonna be a special stream because not only we're gonna be having fun and we're gonna be talking about the 3D world, I'm also gonna be working on a personal project, a secret project that I've been trying to create for the past couple of months, and I just haven't had the time to do so. And I wanna talk about this because David and we were talking about a feeling that we as artists get every now and then, where you get burnt out. Probably some of you guys have felt this while you're working or sculpting or whatever. And the thing with burning out or feeling that you are tired of doing 3D, I feel that happens more when you're not doing something that you're really passionate about. Of course, I'm passionate about the YouTube channel, and of course, I'm passionate about the premium courses, but it's not the same to do something just for fun and for yourself than it is to do for production or for entertainment value, right? So it is very important, and I guess this applies everywhere in life, to always have a balance. So today, we're gonna do that. We're just gonna have fun. This is a project that I've been wanting to do for a long time, and let me show it to you. So, as some of you guys know, there's a couple of things that I am very, I wouldn't say super passionate about. They're hobbies of mine, right? So, one of the hobbies that I have, and this started 2 or 3 years ago, is chess. I like playing chess. Ever since I watched the Queen's Gambit Netflix series, I just thought to myself, hey, why don't I learn how chess is actually played, right? And I started learning about openings and about principles and things like that. I'm not even a good player, but I really enjoy it. Let me see here. Corey says, I've only used ZBrush once. I don't necessarily have an interest in making characters, but rather I want to make environments. Today we're going to be doing an environment. Oh, that's the secret right there. Today we're going to be using ZBrush for an environment. Would you still recommend that course? Sorry, I don't mean to sidetrack you from your stream. Yes. We actually do a small little environment on the second chapter, like the Torii Gate. I wouldn't say it's specifically for environments, but all of the tools that you have inside of ZBrush can be used to do environments. So if you don't know about the ZBrush tools, I feel like it's a good starting point. And later on, you can learn specific workflows to use those tools into creating environments. We got Kaisen as well. Welcome to the stream. So, as I was mentioning, I've been playing chess for a couple of years now, and I've always wanted to create my own chess set. As you guys know, there's a lot of different chess sets out there. Some of them are very minimalistic, some of them are way more intricate, and I've always liked the very intricate sets like this one's right here, where every little element is like a character. But the thing that I don't like about these sets is that I feel like it can get very noisy, very confusing, and there is something pretty about the simple pieces from a chess set. So I decided that I was going to be doing, or one of the things that I want to be doing, this is the secret project for today, is I want to do my own chess set. And as you guys know, I'm a huge fantasy nerd as well. So we are going to be doing a fantasy set of dwarfs versus goblins. Okay, dwarfs versus goblins is the theme of our chess set. We're not going to finish the whole chess set today. It actually will take quite a bit of time, but I want to show you a little bit of my thought process for this thing right here. So the first thing that I decided to do is I wanted to have a specific goal for the chess set. And what I wanted to do was to make sure that the pieces were as readable and as clean as possible. That means that the pawns and the major pieces are going to be two different categories. The major pieces are going to be character pieces, where there's going to be a thematic or something very visually appealing about them. And the pawns are going to be very simple so that it's easy to understand. Because again, when I've played in this fancy chess set, sometimes it's difficult to know which piece is which piece is which, because it looks like it's way too, the pawns sometimes look way too important and they're just pawns, right? So yeah, this is the chess set that they use on the FIDE tournaments, I believe, the official sort of chess set. And what I did here is I created some quick thumbnails and sketches of how I would imagine each piece to be. So the goblins, of course, we're gonna go for this sort of crazy looking, wild side of things. You know, goblins are usually cave dwellers, or they live in the forest. They're very tribal looking, so we're gonna go for that sort of stuff. And then the dwarfs, they're gonna be a lot more organized, a lot more I don't know, precise in their elements. And these are the pieces that I came up with. So the pawns, one of the things that I wanted to have with the pawns is, as you can see, the pawns have this little circular like head on the top, right? Kind of like a helmet. And I wanted to make sure to keep that so that it's easy to identify which pieces are the pawns. So the dwarf pawn is going to be a little sort of like stand, kind of like a pedestal with just like a sphere on the top. And the goblin ones is going to be kind of like a torch, so just like wooden, maybe like a little skull right there, some ropes, just like a wild solo torch. Now, you guys know I love story, right? So one of the things that I always try to do, and this is one of the best advices that I can give you, my friends, is whenever you're creating something, make sure that you're creating something and you try to add a little bit of story to it. Actually, this is a secret, a personal secret of mine. I'm not sure if you guys know, well, most of you might know because I've mentioned this before. But before I went into doing like 3D and digital art, one of the things that I was doing I was studying to be a doctor. I was studying medicine. I went to med school for 1 year here in Mexico. And after the first year, I was like, yeah, this is not really for me. I don't think this is what I want to do with my life. And when I went to to some therapy and stuff to get my stuff sorted out, one of the questions that they asked me is like, what do you want to do? Like, what is it that you have as a goal in your life? And I remember very clearly what I said is, I want to tell stories. I want to be able to tell stories through some of my creations. That has been, I would say, like the underlying motivation or my underlying goal as an artist throughout all of these years. So that's why I always tell you, if you're doing a character, if you're doing a prop, always like try to think, where is this prop coming from when you're doing the textures or anything. Knowing where the story of your element is like positioned or how it came to be, it's a great way to imprint a little bit of your soul, I would say, into your creations, and that gives them something. I feel like that makes it a little bit more valuable. I know this is very weird and very sort of like philosophical to talk about, but I do feel like it's an important thing that a lot of people sometimes miss, especially when we are in production. We just think about money and the production and time and efficiency and stuff like that, and you start forgetting about like the core reason of why we do things. That's why, again, why I think this is a very, very cool like exercise right now. Just have fun. We're just gonna have fun. We're just gonna be doing something. I'm not thinking about like revenues or money or selling this or anything. It's just, I just want to create something, tell a story, right? News, welcome to the stream, my friend, and hopefully my story right here is not boring you guys. So, okay, so I was mentioning the story that I was thinking about is, there's this kingdom, and this kingdom finds a specific gemstone in the landscapes, in the mountains, in the forest, that has magical capabilities, right? And dwarfs immediately take this gemstone and they start grabbing or extracting energy, magical energy from it to do their things, right? However, dwarfs being dwarfs, they always try to do it like very organized, very natural, very scholarly, maybe, like, you know, following some sort of like steps or instructions. And that's why all of their constructions, like the general like shape language, is very square. So the message that I want to send through these guys is controlled, squared, very like man-made, or in this case, dwarven-made. The goblins on the other side, they're also using the energy from these gemstones to bring the elements, but it's a little bit more chaotic. So the shape that I'm using for them is going to be a triangle. The triangle is a little bit sharper, it's a little bit edgier, you know, it's a little bit pointy. So they have this sort of like philosophy of we just need to let the natural energy just like run through us and use it to make us better and everything, but we're not going to try to control it the way that the dwarves are doing it. And the current like dispute, or the current like fight between these guys is, dwarves want to control the magic from the goblins, and the goblins want to set the magic free from the dwarves. So there's no good side or bad side. We're not gonna go over like political things here. Like, you can think of the goblins as the good guys, or you can think about the dwarves. I want to try to get this into this sort of like gray area where both of them have their reasons. Sarn says, you guys can't imagine how brave one must be in 18, 19 years old to say no to something that he have started and changed path. Yeah, it's I was 19 when I made that decision of changing from medicine to art. And this is a question that I actually get asked quite a bit. It's like, do I need to be an artist, or do I need to have like previous art knowledge to jump into 3D? And the answer is no. When I jumped from medicine to 3D, I didn't know how to draw. I didn't know about color theory. I didn't know about perspective. Nothing, like absolutely no knowledge about art. The only thing I knew was anatomy, but it was medical anatomy. So I had to what's the word? I had to make sure that that I could translate that into an artistic way. Mixel says, I think you should not reveal this secret. These ideas can turn into an entire game. Yeah, right? That's cool. And that's the thing. Like, if you start doing something that you're passionate about, the ideas and the stories, they flow a lot easier. It's a lot. I think it's usually a lot faster for you to get and do work when you feel inspired by it than it is to do something that you're being forced to. Very recently on the Discord channel, one of my students asked me, it's like, I don't feel comfortable doing this composition with my character. He was copying a reference, and he was doing like literally the exact same composition, but he changed a lot of the characters and things like that. And he was like, I don't feel comfortable just copying. It's like, my best advice there is never do something you're not comfortable with. So Andy says, hello guys, what's up, man? What's up, Andy? What was I gonna show you? I already started working on some of these guys. So there we go. I have the pawn ready. Look at that. You like it? So this is the dwarven pawn. This is the base like piece for the element. I've been doing a little bit of sculpting here. Now, keep in mind that these guys are going to be printed like chest size, so they're going to be small. So I can't really go with like super minimal details. I need to make sure that they remain as clean and as nice as possible. But this is going to be the pawn of the dwarven army. So today we're going to be doing the rook. The Rook, if you guys have seen Gotham Chess, I'm a huge fan of his as well. He has this like meme talking about the Rook. So today, we're going to be doing the Rook right here. And the reason why I used the image that I used, so let me open it right here. Where is it? Because I was looking for some inspiration. There we go. And I found this amazing concept art from David Jasiorski. I think that's the way, or I'm pretty sure it's David. I know it has a W, but that's his name. So I was looking at this, and I really like some of like the intricacies of the element, and I think we can get a lot of these things into our Rook, because the Rook is going to be a little bit of a bigger piece, and therefore we can definitely add a little bit more detail. Yeah, Gotham Chess is everywhere, man. He's a great content creator. Did you ever felt that maybe you have taken bad decisions while you were studying 3D during? Oh, of course, man. The first year was brutal. The first year of my 3D career was completely brutal. So I'm gonna share another like experience. I went to Noman, as you guys know. There's my diploma right there. That's my diploma from the certificate program. 3 years at Noman, that was. But when I applied to Noman, they had 3 different programs. It was a 1-year program, which was just traditional art. It was a 2-year program, which was just a digital art. And it was a 3-year program that included all of the elements. I applied to the 2-year program, which was the digital one, because I wanted to be a 3D artist. And they told me, no, you suck. Well, they didn't say that, right? But they were like, no, your portfolio is not good enough. You don't have the artistic skills. You need to be like way better. And they offered me a solution. They told me, we can't even accept you on the 3-year program because you don't have the necessary skills. But what we can do is we can accept you on the 1-year track. You finish the 1-year track, you present a new portfolio at the end of the 1 year, and then you enter into the 3-year program, and we just validate the first year. So you start on the 2nd year of the 3-year program. So it was kind of like, you are part of the crew, but you're not there yet. And I was not the only one. There were a couple of other of my friends who were in the same position as me. Like we did not have the necessary skills to jump onto the big program yet, but I did it. I went there. I worked really hard to get my stuff up to the level that they were expecting it to be. And once my stuff was there, I jumped onto the 3D program and skipped or just revalidated the first year. That was my story there. So as you say, did I regret it? Yes, I remember getting a C on my first like perspective class, which was just like the barely passing grade. Mark Hanna was my teacher. He's an amazing guy. And he was like, no, dude, you need to practice way more. Keep in mind that this was literally the first time in my life that I was like actually drawing perspective lines and things like that. So he passed me. He gave me the C. And then in perspective 2, I think I got like a B-. But then by the third like term or third semester, which when we were seeing like character design, things like that, I was already getting like A-, A's, because I was just practicing a lot of practice. So yeah, it was brutal, but it was achievable. It was doable. So enough about stories. Otherwise, this is going to become just like a freaking therapy session right here. Let's go and do some 3D. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to extract the rook from this area. So I'm just going to save this as a rook. Just to get an idea, this is not exactly how I want to be, but at least the size is important to kind of like keep in mind. And for this sort of environment pieces or environment elements, a good idea is to start with a clean blocking. And yes, of course, you could do the clean blocking inside of ZBrush. We got Simuller and things like that. But to be honest, I'm way faster in Maya. So we're going to do it here in Maya. I'm going to go to the front view. I'm going to go to my image plane right here. Let's go to the desktop and let's bring, hey, did I not save this? Stop. Oh, it's named. Why did I name it chess set? Anyway, so let's scale this right here. And we're going to push it up there. Cool. It's always good to hear those experiences. Yeah, well, if you got questions, man, I always like to answer as much as I can. I don't think I've ever gotten a question that I don't answer. I try to be, at least in 3D, right? Regarding 3D, I try to be as much as an open book as I can. So we're going to start with the cube right here. Very, very simple. We're going to jump to face mode. And we're just going to push this one like right around there. And we're going to be blocking the main shape. Again, we're going for this sort of like very square vibe, very squared effect. You can see here on the concept art that the Dwarven architecture tends to be a lot of embossing and a lot of like embedded elements, but everything's very geometric, right? They always play with geometric shapes, squares, triangles, rectangles, a lot of bevels, a lot of like overlapping, like repeating effects. This right here, this is very common. If you ever want to have more complexity on your pieces, one of the things that you can do is you can just grab something that looks cool and repeat it a couple times. I'm going to show you how to do that in just a second. So this one right here, I'm just going to Control E to extrude this up and just push it in. There we go. Now, of course, we are going to harden the edges. So I'm going to go to Modeling, Mesh Tools. In this case, we're going to do Harden Edge. And that's going to give us a good result. Let's grab the image plane and push it back. And this is what I meant. You can see we have that like interesting looking shape on the front. So I'm going to go to the front view. I'm going to create another square right around there. Scale this. And it's very, very easy. All of the detail and all that stuff we're going to be adding in ZBrush, of course. But this stage of the blocking process is very, very easy. We're just going to extrude this up, get this in there. Make this a lot smaller. Push it out. Now, I am thinking about 3D printing this, guys. So it is very important that we take some 3D printing advice into consideration. And one of those things is that in this particular cases, you don't want to have a lot of like flimsy elements like this right there. Like that point right there, it can be easily printed. Like it's not going to be like the most difficult part to print. But the problem is that it just like creates a little bit of a cavity that can be, you know, a little bit ugly in certain areas. So I'm just going to scale this up and overlap them right there. Now, of course, this face right here, well, this face right here, we're going to snap it to the bottom. There we go. Now, this one, what I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to grab the whole thing and bevel it. It's going to be one segment only, and the fraction is going to be a little bit big, so something like that. Oh my God, sorry about that. Andy says, hey man, do you know the picture you created, how to pick a project? Could you do one for different camera lenses? What you should use for different shots? Yeah, that actually, that's a great idea. So let's call that, we're gonna call that cheat sheet for camera lenses. Salud, gracias, Caprusus. Do you guys have more recommendations on videos or things you would like to see? You can also, or you're free to share those as well. So let's, I don't want to make a super big fraction, so something like that. And then this pattern right here, as you can see, that's like pretty much matching the initial idea that I had. What I'm going to do is I'm literally just going to duplicate, make it smaller, push it forward, and that generates complexity. This kind of like follows one of the like tenets that I use when I'm designing things, which is complexity out of simplicity. So you don't need to do a lot of things. Just like repeating patterns that look good is an excellent way to generate something that's gonna give more like visual interest to your whole element. I'm gonna grab this whole thing, and I kind of want to bevel this like elements right here. Now here I am gonna be cheating a little bit, and the cheat that I'm gonna be doing is that I'm gonna have engons. I know engons have this very bad sort of reputation, right? People hate engons, or they say that engons are horrible and you should never have engons. That's a little bit of an overstatement. You can work and have engons, like they're not gonna kill your computer, but you do need to be mindful about them, because not every software, not every workflow will like work properly with engons. So for instance, this guy right there, that's an engon right now, but that's fine. It's not gonna really like affect us. I'm gonna again bevel this guy right there, and then we're gonna create the little element right there, little rook tower. Again, simplicity out of complexity. What can we do here on the top to make this thing look a little bit more interesting? Let's just add a couple of like extra steps right here, something like that. Just adding that sort of like effect, and it already makes it look a little bit more interesting. And then of course all of these edges right there, you can add another bevel. That's gonna round up the object and give us a very nice effect. What is your Maya's unit measurement? Millimeters or centimeters? That's a good question. Right now I'm in centimeters. I'm in like a real world scale. So you can see that little cube right there. It's a 1 by 1 by 1 cube, and that's 1 centimeter right there. So yeah. Okay, now let's add the sort of like the capstones. King Serious says, I've asked in Discord server, but now no one knows about it. How can we do a second layer of subsurface underneath the skin? A new layer of detail or inner skin. If you want multiple subsurface layers, you're gonna have to use something called the AI layer surface material. So over here, it's the Arnold layer shader. There we go, this one right here. So this layer shader allows you to have multiple shaders on a single shader. It combines them, and you can use this mix to mix between them. I would probably go with like a 10% opacity, maybe like do an internal sort of like veiny subsurface effect, and then have the main skin on top and blend it with this. But what you're also looking for is probably something called a volume shader, where you have different like depths on your object, and the closer you are to the center, the different or the more different the effects are going to be. So it's definitely a little bit more of an advanced topic, but it can be done. Okay, so on this one right here, here's a very cool trick. We're just gonna grab all of these guys right here. Let's go to the side view. We're just gonna grab all of the vertex and snap them, and then we're gonna set them right there. And what I want to do is I actually want to combine all of these 3 elements. So I'm going to combine them into a single object. And the pivot point, very importantly, I'm going to just press D and X to position it on the center. And now if we duplicate, we should be able to just move this thing to the side. I'm going to activate discrete rotate to snap the duplications. And again, look at that. Complexity out of simplicity. It was a very simple shape, and now by adding this elements right here, we're generating something that looks a little bit more interesting. Now, if we take a look at the reference here, one of the things that I see is the sort of like embossed effects on the elements. Like I really like this sort of like loopy, sort of like rope, kind of like a Celtic note sort of thing. And I want to have a little bit of that on this elements right here. So I'm going to select all of the faces, Control E, offset, and then Control E and push this in. Now, very important, 3D printing and even like bakes for games, they do not like 90-degree angles. They can be very, very difficult to calculate, to support, and in the case of games, to bake. So a good idea is always add a little bit of bevel. I'm a huge fan of bevel. I don't even remember when I discovered bevel. It was later in my 3D career, to be honest. But after I discovered bevel, pretty much every single time that I need to do it, I just add a little bit of a bevel right there. There we go. What else can we add? Well, we need to add the little like rupee effects. So let's take a look at this. How would you guys do this? give me your ideas. Let's say you are working in a studio and they tell you, hey, we need to do this, guys, and it's not going to be texture, it needs to be model. How would you model this? It's a tricky question. I'm gonna show you how I would do it, but I want to see what you guys think. This sort of like a rope effect. Curves is a good idea. What else? What other ideas do you guys have? Array modifier? Yeah, I mean, Blender, we could try doing some sort of like array modifier. Single vertex and extrude. Yeah, that could work as well. News. Quadra plus extrude. Actually, for this one in particular, I think curves is probably the best one. And I'm gonna work on the pattern on this like side right here, and then we're gonna go back here. And the reason I want to work on this side is because we need to have we want this to be tileable, right? So we need to find a way to make sure that everything flows into each other. So if we take this right here, you can see that this is pretty much like a kind of looks like a braid, but it's not a braid because you have this upper line going. No, it is a braid. Look at this. So it's this one's going up and down, and then the next one is like offsetted a little bit. So I'm gonna go to my curves tool, grab this one. I'm gonna do sort of like an S shape. But the interesting thing about this S shape is that it needs to come back to the origin. So right around there. Yeah. I'm gonna grab this control vertex, and with X, I'm gonna set it right there. I'm gonna delete a couple points. This one's gonna be right there. And just like generally getting the shape to look as nice as possible. Right around there. It doesn't have to be perfect. All depends on. Actually, I kind of want to make it a little bit more perfect. So I'm gonna go to 6 squares right here. So it's 3 and 3. I want to generate this sort of like S shape, so it's going to be very straight. And let's delete points if we don't need them. I just want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There we go. We're going to try to get the points this sort of like S shape. Something like that. We're going to grab the whole thing. We're going to go to sweep mesh, and we're going to create the sweep mesh. It's definitely going to be way thicker. Yeah, that looks good. I'm gonna duplicate this one, so the duplicated one has no connection to the previous one. And I'm gonna grab the previous one and just move it down. And since this is still connected to the curve, I'm gonna grab this control vertex and push it up. This one. That. It should be up and down. One goes up, the other one goes down. So now I'm gonna delete this one again. Control D. Grab the curve again. Move it down. And now we're gonna make this opposite. So we're gonna grab the curve points. Oh, there we go. And all of these points are gonna go on the inside. And this 2 points and this 1 over here, they're gonna go on the outside. So as you can see, we create this sort of interweaving effect. And then this one and this one, I'm just gonna grab the first one. And I'm gonna do a mirror. We're gonna do bounding box, not world, bounding box, Y positive. You can see it should like merge things nicely right there. Same for this one. And then technically, if my calculation was right, should be able to duplicate this and create another sort of like chain. Yeah, that looks close to what I was looking for. It's not perfect, and we can definitely fix it, but it's getting there. There's of course a couple of vertices that are like not attached. Now over here, I'm going to combine everything. Go to the front view, grab all of these faces and just delete. Grab all of these guys and just delete. And again, since this is going to be 3D printed, as long as it looks good on the inside of the object, We get sort of like a Celtic knot pattern. This is a good way to make things look interesting. And again, considering that the rook is going to be very, very like small, like just this detail right there should be more than enough. One thing that we can do here to merge all of the points is just go into vertex mode. I'm gonna grab all of them. I'm gonna try mesh, edit mesh and merge. And I'm gonna start increasing the threshold a little bit until they combine. And as you can see, we get this interesting pattern right there. So you can see I had something similar there on my sketch, and now we got this. Everything's gonna be Dynamesh as well, so again, I'm not worrying too much about the overall result. Control D, Control D, and Control D. There we go. We got those sort of like patterns there on the inside of the rook. Let's add more complexity. We definitely need a little bit more complexity. So one of the things that I want to add is we're gonna have a base. We have it here on the little pawn, and this is one of the things that I also thought about. I hate when the shapes of the pieces are not the same. So every single element is gonna have the same sort of like circular face. So I know that this thing is gonna be elevated later on with the base, but I still want to add like the, I don't know what the name is of that. Any medieval geek here in the chat knows what the name of the like the pillars on the top of the tower are named. They have a name. I'm not sure which one it is. They have a name. It's like an architectural name. Crenellation. There you go, Caprices. Thank you, my friend. Crenellation. That's a new word for me as well. They're named crenellation. So we're gonna have 2 center crenellations and 2 corner or 1 corner crenellation. So this one's gonna be right there. We're gonna bevel just at this side right here. Big fraction. Learn it from Age of Empires 2. Great game. I could never beat my brother. He's younger than me, and it was just a beast on that game. Let me grab this guy. I'm just gonna say again, mesh display harden edge. There we go. So all of this block, it's a simple block, it's a single block, so it should be fairly easy to just bevel the whole thing. Again, mesh display and harden edge. Now this one we do want to mirror. It's gonna be mirrored on the x-axis, positive world. That it has the same like very symmetrical sort of like approach. And I want to make them a little bit longer. There we go. Now both of these guys, we're gonna move again its pivot point to the center, and we just duplicate 4 times. Nice. Now since this tower is supposed to be, or it should be made out of like bricks and stuff, I think adding some section lines might be a good idea, or some like detail, but I'm gonna have to see if we add that on the sculpting section or if we add it here on the modeling section. Okay, so what else are we missing? Oh, the corners. Now the corners, here's where extracting a mesh is very, very helpful. So what I'm gonna do here is I'm literally gonna grab this shape right here. I'm gonna say edit mesh and then a duplicate. And this kind of works like an extrusion, as you can see right there. So I'm going to extrude in a little bit so that we have the overlap. And then you can select the little mesh right there, Control E, and we extrude out. And this is going to generate the crenellation following the same sort of like form that we have. This one, I definitely want it to be bigger than the other ones, but I don't know, not big like that. So I'm probably just going to grab this 3 faces and just push them up. That's it. Now, can you guys see how this piece right here, the faces on the inside, they do not match. They have like different forms and like different angles. That's called a non-planar face, and they can be, again, a little bit tricky to work with. Do you guys know how we could solve those? Yeah, it's another sort of like trick question. What's the easiest way to make sure all of these guys are in the same plane, like the sort of like same horizontal plane? Trick question, trick question. How would you solve that? Blender actually has a tool that's a little bit easier to do that, but this one definitely needs a little bit more interesting. Triangulate, no, triangulate is not the option. I mean, triangulate will give you planar faces, but it's not what I'm looking for. I want to make sure to get all of the elements close together. So imagine I want all of these guys to live in the same plane. If we go to the top view, you can see that all of these vertices are in different like positions. I want them to be in a single plane to give a very clean sort of effect. I would do that, Sarn, if these guys were aligned to a specific axis, but they're not. As you can see, they're going in this sort of like 45-degree axis. So here's the answer. In Maya, you need to go to scale. You need to press R and click, and you are gonna do this and change this to normal. You're gonna change the axis to the normal of the elements. And now when you scale, it's gonna average out the normals of all of those faces, and it's gonna give you a flat effect. Okay, you can't really use local because each one of them have a different local direction, so that's why we need to go to the average of the normal, and that's how we're going to be able to get this clean shape right there. Okay, and yeah, it's going to give us a little bit of a sharp effect right there. I like it, so I'm going to keep it. And then in this one, I'm just going to grab the edges, the outer edges of the whole thing, and give it another edge. Yep. Yeah, the movement and rotation tools inside of Maya and inside of Blender, that's why it's very important to understand what's the difference between local space, normal space, global space. Like all of those elements give you a lot of control over how you do your stuff. So Control D, we just rotate this. Control D, we rotate, Control D, and we rotate. Perfect. Is that possible? Yeah. In Blender, you have your axis over here. So that's local, normal, gimbal, view, cursor, parent. So in that case, you would do something like normal orientation. Well, that's Blender 4.0. I think it's the same in 3.6. But yeah, it's definitely possible in Blender. There we go. We got all the granulations. Now, big question. Should we add something here on the top of the rook? What do you guys think? Because one of the cool things about 3D printing is that it can be 3D printed. So we could add like a staircase or something. I don't know. Shall we? There's one more thing, this sort of like support beam that we need to add, and I want to add some more stuff here on the corners to make this rook look a little bit more interesting. I think the granulations really help. Like when you see this over the board, it's obvious that this is the rook. A dwarven horn on the top. I'm not sure. I don't want to make it overly. Yeah, I remember, but I don't want to make it overly complex. I guess that's the word. 2 tusks type pillar. The tusks are gonna be for the goblins. So on the goblin tower, it's definitely gonna have like something more interesting here, like a skull or something. So there's definitely something. But yeah, maybe we could just like close them with some wooden beams. The logo, no, that's too self too self-centered. I don't want to do the logo. Okay, let's add something else before we decide what to add there. So let's think about the big beam right here. Again, this is sort of like a common like fortification element that we could add right around there. I still think that we should be able to probably bevel this, guys. Offset, push this forward. What do you guys think? Do you guys like that one, or does it kind of like break the... Maybe like that. Maybe something like that. So on the center it looked kind of weird, but there it actually looks... I think there it looks interesting. Yeah, so on the top, I'm just gonna close it. Like I'm gonna imagine that there's like a wooden like beams or something. Yeah, right? Car process on the top, it looks way better. So I'm just gonna add sort of like planks right here. Actually, we want to be really precise, which we've been doing so far. Definitely want to be symmetrical. There we go. Let's grab both of these guys and bevel. Yeah, that works. Yeah, designing. See, designing is one of those skills. It's like any sort of like muscle. You really need to practice it. Because it's not the same to be a technical artist that can take any concept and do it than to create your own concept. Look at that. That looks good. And thinking where things fit, where things like flow and things like that. It's important. Let's add some. This again where we can recycle. So I'm just gonna recycle this crenellation right here. Just bring it down here. Like even that empty sort of space looks interesting, but I don't want it to look like a teacup. So I'm just gonna go there. I'm gonna center the pivot point. And on the scale, hey, Ari Samaniego, are you who I think you are? Pretty sure you are who I think you are. Welcome, Ari. It's been a long time. Let's change this to axis parent. Nah, there's nothing there. Okay, so I'm gonna keep it like that. And then this one again, we just duplicate. Go to the top view. There. It's gonna give us just a small little extra detail there on the bottom part of the object. Do we want or need anything else? I'm not sure about this guys right here. The reason why I'm not sure about this ones is they look too organic compared to everything else that looks very like square. And I feel like that's giving us a small or a little bit of a weird effect. So I think I want to play with some more geometrical shapes inside there to create like a pattern, but just a more interesting pattern. So let's, as David said, let us allow the creativity to flow. So I want to create. Here's what I want to do. I want to create this sort of like interlinking pattern. But I want this interlinking pattern to be very hard surfacey. So here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna start with a cube. I'm gonna be working on this sort of like 6 points right here. So I'm gonna start here. I'm gonna extrude down. Then I'm gonna grab this face and this face. And extrude out. Push this down. So that's going to be my first link. And I think what's going to happen with this link is that these things are going to be kind of like going in. This. So now we're going to push this down. Sheila Kid, thanks for the sub, man. And welcome to the stream. And now we're gonna have like the opposite version. I want them to kind of like interlock or something. Because they need to fit. No, that's not working. Let's try something else. Okay, I'm gonna delete this one, that face, and then I'm gonna do a mirror bounding box Y positive. Hit apply. That looks more interesting. Look at that. That's a good shape. Is that D&D movie which came out recently a good way to dive into that universe? Yeah, it gives you a very good idea of what happens on a D&D game. So it's really fun. Will there be some event about Christmas on Discord? Yes, I think we are going to have our next contest. I learned a lot about the latest one, so there's going to be some changes in the rules to make sure that things are as fair and as clear as possible for everyone. But I think December, we're going to have our next contest. Okay, so I really like this shape. I think this shape is working nicely. Let's get it into our element right here. There we go. Yeah, that looks cool, right? Looks really, really nice, I think. It's in. I don't want to have a lot of empty space. Again, I mean, this is a shape that builds upon itself, so I know from a 3D printing perspective, it's not going to be the end of the world. But I definitely want to make this thing a little bit flatter. So again, I'm just going to grab all of the faces on the back. I'm just gonna flatten them so we get this cool looking shape, very geometrical. Is model size make a difference in render? No, not really. I mean, actually, I take that back. Yes, it does, but it depends on what you're rendering. If you're just rendering like this tower right here, not really. But if you're rendering glass, skin, or anything that requires like precise calculations of its physical size in relation to the light, then yes, it does have a little bit of an effect. Ideally, you always want to work things in real size, in real world size. Let's go mesh display, harden edge. Yeah, that looks good. And I'm definitely going to be beveling everything, of course. Actually, the bevel there. I don't love the bevel. I think it was looking a little bit nicer here. Kind of want to collapse this, to be honest. Collapse. Let's try the bevel now. Yeah, I mean, it's not wrong, but it's also... I'm not sure. I don't think I like it. So we're going to keep it like this, and then in ZBrush, we're going to add something different. Now we got this, and then one of the other things that we can do... now I'm double questioning myself. I'm not sure if this works or not. What do you guys think? Do you guys like this piece? I'm not sure I like it. Looks weird. I mean, maybe we can embed some sort of like You love the last one? You like the curved one better? Let's do a dwarven chain instead then. Yeah, it looks very low poly, I agree. Okay, let's do a because I like the idea. Let's do a chain instead then. So I'm gonna start with a cube. I'm gonna make the cube a little bit longer. And then I'm going to grab these edges right here. Double them quite heavily. And grab this, guys. Control E, offset, and delete. Bridge. And another bevel. Blend this out a little bit more. There we go. Push this to the front. Fit this in there. And we can have one on top and one on the bottom. Better, right? I think this looks more dwarvish. What do you guys think? Let him cook. Where's that meme from? I've seen it and I've seen it used and it's very cool, but I don't know where did it originated. Yeah, it looks better, right? Again, more dwarvish. Just there we go. So we're gonna combine this again. Top view. Get the pivot point to the center. And duplicate. Yeah, I like it. Like it. Maybe we could add some sort of like not my logo, but like a logo or something, either up here or like there. Let me just try and see how this would look. So if you can imagine like a little sort of like plate. Yeah, or like a rune or something. I'm trying to find where that would be a good. Maybe there? Like some sort of inscription or something? Someone tell me where the meme of "let him cook" is from. I really want to know the origin of that one. Yeah, I think on ZBrush we can definitely add like a rune right there. So let's just duplicate this one, and I think we're gonna be ready to jump into ZBrush. Can we be able to buy this amazing chest when it's ready? I'm trying to see, like, I'm not sure how, but yeah, maybe. Again, I was telling you, the guys, Chillakid, at the beginning of the stream, that I want to make this just for fun, like not thinking about like a revenue or money or anything. I just want to do it for fun, and then if something like happens at the end, we'll go from there. Okay, so let's grab everything here. I'm gonna combine it into a single object. I'm gonna export it. Let's go to the desktop. Let's call this Rook. The Rook. And let's go to ZBrush. Let me get my tablet. And we're gonna go to ZBrush now. Let's close this one. We're 10 away from our follower goal. So if you guys are watching and you like the content so far, help us get to the follower. I don't even know like what the next threshold is. Like I know right now we are, I think it's called affiliate, which is like the kids like the kids zone for streamers. But then you get into like a partner where Twitch really helps you out as well. So I'm not sure how much we need to get there. I'm sure we're still a long way from it, but any little bit helps. Any little bit helps. There we go. Let's bring in the Rook. Perfect. There you go. Thank you, Mabu Brahman 999 for the follow. Okay, so we're inside the ZBrush, and now we can start adding a little bit more detail to this thing. The first thing we need to do is we need to use a Dynamesh to close everything. You can see that we have some endguns right there. Even right there, we got some other endguns right here. So remember that I told you endguns are not bad. Well, here's where they are bad, because sometimes ZBrush won't know how to get this one here. Roma song, what's up, Roma? Welcome to the stream. Let's just Dynamesh real quick, see what we get. It's not bad. We are getting some issues or some errors. So to fix that, I'm gonna go back here into Maya, and I'm just gonna triangulate everything. And now we're gonna export the selection. It's gonna be the exact same thing on the inside of ZBrush. So nothing's gonna really change. And I need to turn on polish, and I need to really increase the resolution so that when we die, we don't lose a lot of the like sharp details that we get. You can see certain things are getting a little bit softer. We can definitely increase this a little bit more. So I'm gonna go for like 1000 in Dynamesh. And we're gonna be at like 1 million, maybe 1 million polygons or polygons. Oh, it's definitely taking its toll now. Sounds like someone found my phone. Sending me a WhatsApp message. Have to block that guy. Okay, Trim Dynamic, you guys know it. My favorite tool, one of my favorite tools, and this one's gonna be really, really good to start breaking up some of the details here on our rook. We're definitely gonna have some like destroyed effects over here. What's happening? Yeah, we're making a costume chess set. I was sharing with you guys that that's one of my hobbies, and I just wanted to, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. This past week has been very rough. Like personally, there's been a lot of things going on, and I've been feeling a little bit not under the weather, like physically, but like mentally exhausted. That's why I didn't post as many videos this week on YouTube. So I just need to do something as well that's just fun, just relax, chill, talk to you guys, and keep going, because burnout is it's a real thing. We gotta take care of our mind as well. I think unfortunately the world is it goes very fast. It's a very fast-paced world we live in. Sometimes we don't appreciate the small things. Yeah, when I finished my card model, when I was starting 3D, I swore to myself that I was never gonna be doing another one. It's a very fun process, but it's very intensive, very, very extreme as well. And then use clay build up here to got some like damages, and then we can use Trim Dynamic to sharpen some of those damages. As you can see, we're getting this sort of like chipped rocked, damaged rocked effect everywhere. It's gonna be a little bit more aggressive. I'm gonna show you a very cool trick. Trim Dynamic versus H Polish. Great question. Trim Dynamic will average the normals of the polygons that it's like acting upon, and it will give you a flat surface based on those ones. That's why it's called dynamic, because it adapts to the surface of your object. H Polish is just like a hard polish brush. So I feel like a Trim Dynamic is more flexible. That's why I like using it more, but H Polish is really good. So for instance, if I grab H Polish right here and I want to polish this section, it will just polish on that normal. On the first normal that you click, that's the normal that's going to be like doing the plane. So as you can see, all of the plane is now on that normal. And Trim Dynamic, it will adapt. So if I start moving my brush on the sides, as you can see right here, I feel like I got a little bit more control over my brush. So that's why I like using Trim Dynamic a little bit more. But I'm gonna show you guys a little secret here. This brush is hidden on the brushes palette. It's called a mallet, and it works very similar to the one that we were using to Trim Dynamic, but it's a little bit more aggressive. So it's this mallet. So mallet fast is really, really good. You can see why, because it not only kind of like hits the surface, it actually adds a little bit of texture, and every time you like click on the tablet, you're gonna get more damage. And a very cool trick that a teacher told me when I discovered this brush. I'm gonna talk about that in just a second. That's a parenthesis I want to talk about, because I get criticized by this a bit on the YouTube channel, and I'm a little bit sick of it. But I'm gonna explain why. So one little trick that you can use with this one to add like again like concrete noise is to change the stroke to the spray stroke, and this one's gonna be very, very aggressive, as you can see right there. So it's a very, very aggressive way to create like a erosion on an object, and just get like a hole or something. Another one, this is a very cool trick. If you're doing like weapons and you want to do, or armor, and you want to do like this hammered metal, you can change this to around alpha, and if you keep the intensity down, you're gonna get this sort of like hammered effect. See that? So when you smooth that out, it gives you more of a hard effect. Yeah, and mallet works on the... It works... no, it does work on other stuff as well. It works more aggressively on the corners, that's for sure. But it also works on plane surfaces. It's just about how intense you do it. So yeah, I really like the mallet. So I was gonna mention this because it's... I don't know. You guys give me your opinions. I want to hear your opinions. No one is born knowing anything about the 3D world, right? Like when a new update drops, for instance, there's going to be information out there. People, content creators, teachers, instructors, they're gonna start sharing their opinions and their stuff about it. But then if you share it later on, some people say like, oh, you're copying this guy or this other guy. It's like, no, I mean, it's not that we're copying each other. Like, what would be the best way? Just go to the documentation and figure it out yourself. Feels a little bit weird, right? So information is out there. That's my main point. I feel like 3D information is out there. And in general, I don't mind if someone copies my techniques or copies my workflows, because I copy every single artist. The way we learn as artists is by copying other artists. So to just learn. That would be my advice. I don't know what video. I think it was the Maya video. Someone was like, oh, this guy's just copying this and this. And it's like, I'm not. If I'm doing something that's very similar, well, that's fine. And you're free to pick whichever one you prefer. But it's not like we're copying each other. But in art, like, how else are you gonna teach extrude? Like, are we gonna give the credit to the first person that discovered the extrude option, and anyone that shares how the extrude works is copying? I don't know. It's just weird. Art is just people learning from each other. Yeah, that's right. We learn and we adapt. We give our own twist to things. And I don't think that's copying. And it's very weird because if you go online, especially for like programmer and game dev stuff, people that are doing like coding, they share a lot of stuff freely. They're like, oh yeah, I copied this guy, and I copied this code from here, and I copied this element from here. But in art, I don't know why people are more jealous about it. I'm not. Again, I don't care if people take my stuff and then repurpose them and give them their own twist. But there's a lot of people that are very, I don't know, they get triggered very easily by that sort of thing, which is, again, a little bit weird to me. Caprisa says, artists, I steal technique from Pavlovich and Gabori on the regular. I steal technique from artists need to cherish each other, not at the AI. Yeah, exactly. And again, it's like, I don't know where I read this before, but it's like everyone, like all of the information is out there already. So for instance, okay, Pavlovich, right? Pavlovich is an amazing artist. I love his stuff. And he does a lot of ZBrush stuff. But he's learning that from someone else, right? Maybe internally from ZBrush or from the ZBrush guys, or maybe he does his own research, but he's sharing it. And if he's sharing it, it's for a reason. It's for all of us to be able to use that and create something amazing. So yeah, just learn. Will there be some course this month? Yeah, not November. Well, November already passed. I was really trying to get it ready for November. So December is the deadline for the course. Yeah. It's a character course. We go over Marvel's Designer, ZBrush, Maya, and Unreal Engine. We get a game ready character. And now I'm not gonna spoil that just yet, but there's gonna be a slight little change on courses. And this is the first course that's gonna have that sort of like change. iBrew Art says, hey, I just want to say thank you for all your classes. You're a true blessing. Hey, my friend, you're welcome. I really appreciate it. And welcome to the stream, yeah. Now, I know I've been mentioning this for a long time now, but every now and then I still get this question. I'm no longer working on the next two team, guys. I still get questions from my old courses, and I'm really happy with what I did with that team. It was really, really cool, but I'm no longer with them. So all of the new courses, if you wanna support the new channel, is all through this new venue, Leal 3D. Kingshire says, I like how fast Pavlovich goes into explaining things with details, and anyone can pick his YouTube channel on any level and learn new things. Yes, of course. Yeah, Pavlovich is really, really good. I love his stuff. And there's a lot of people out there. There's some hidden creators as well that are really good. They share really, really cool stuff. So my advice to you guys is just learn. Like, if the information is out there, just learn. Always, of course, credit the artists, and always, what's the word? Give it your own twist. Don't just be a copier. That would make you as bad as the AI art that just steals the stuff and just regurgitates them in the same way. So. In my aligning, my teacher is saying to use intensity, not to exposure. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. Intensity is linear. So if you work with intensity, you're gonna have a linear gradient. So 1 and 100. And what's gonna happen is that you're gonna be dealing with bigger numbers. So you're gonna go to like 2,400 elements on the lumen section, and on exposure is exponential. So when you hit 100, it's gonna be like this. So you need to work with smaller numbers. The reason why I like using exposure is because I am used to working with stops on my cameras. So I've worked with traditional cameras, and you work with stops, and every stop is exponential. So it's just an easier way to control. Yeah, as Roma says there, just grab the one that you like the most. Who are your favorite hidden creators? 3D wise? There's a couple of Blender guys that have like hidden channels. I don't have them right now here, but I got them on my list. I'll share some of them on the Discord. Pavlovich, of course. Pablo Munoz, of course. But those guys are quite famous, so I'm not sure if they count as hidden gems. The Flip Normal guys are really cool as well. Oh, there's I do want to give a shout out. This guy is a student of ours, and he's just starting his 3D channel as well. Give me 1 second, I'll tell you what his name is. He goes more into photogrammetry. It's called the Triangle Forge. He's got some cool stuff about Unreal, tessellation, and things like that. So the Triangle Forge. Laura Gallagher. I haven't seen her. Streaming schedule, we try to stream every Friday. So every Friday from 11 a.m. Mexico time to like 1 p.m. Mexico time is usually our time. But we might be expanding that. I'm not sure how soon. I definitely want to stream a little bit more. The Outgang, 3D Mutiny. Yeah, drop more names. It's always fun to find more people. Marco Plouffe for ZBrush Hard Surface. And that's the cool thing. Every single instructor, we all have our own specialty, and we all have our own sort of like style. So there will be things that someone is going to be able to teach better than I do. And that's the cool stuff. So I've always been of the idea of if we all work together, we can all grow together. Instead of trying to steal or to take away from other people, it's better if we just support each other. Let's start. Says, hey, I very appreciate your rigging video recently. Do you know when will you post the second part? The second part's going to be airing on Tuesday, next Tuesday. I haven't recorded it yet, but on the schedule, we got the replay for this stream. I think it's on Sunday. And then tomorrow, I have promised a student that we're going to be doing a Arnold Materials video. So probably Tuesday is when we're going to have the controllers for the rig. Yeah, Polygon is very cool. I've seen Polygon is very nice. And this is a very interesting time we live in, because I remember back when I was a student, I started 3D in 2011 or 2010, I don't remember. But when I started, there was not as much content. Like all of the things that you could get were only like premium courses from like the No Moon Workshop and things like that. So if you wanted to learn on your own, it was very difficult. Nowadays, like, there's so much content out there. So Danny Mac, of course. Danny Mac was the guy who originally invented the what was it called? He was like one of the precursors of like Speed Sculpt, because he was doing this launch crunch, I think it was called, or something like that, where he would give a topic every day, and on your launch hour you would work on it. That's definitely one of those. Danny Mac is one of the old guys. That's another very interesting thing. I think we live in a time now where it is possible to learn from the veterans of the industry, like Danny Mac, Raf Grassetti, stuff like that. But there's also a lot of like new blood, right? Like people who have been working on the industry for a couple of years, and they got some cool insights. And now the sort of like the creator space has been democratized, so it's very easy to start sharing your stuff without doing that. That's why I started doing like 6 years ago, when I first started doing like premium courses. The first company I did premium courses for is called Victory 3D. I think I did 3 courses for them. Then next to it, of course, and now we're here. Life moves on, man. Time passes so fast. We gotta be careful with this small like wrinkles that I'm adding, or small like cracks, because these small cracks can be a little bit difficult to be seen on the 3D print. So one advice is always exaggerate, especially when you think that you don't need to exaggerate. Always exaggerate things a little bit more than what you think, because you do lose a little bit of detail on the 3D printing process. Yeah, right. Instead of having the DVDs. Kingseer is asking, it might be too much to ask right now, but would you do intermediate YouTube stuff of modeling and texturing, like going way too deep on surface? Look like how much imperfections or for color depth in organic. Yeah, we've done some advanced stuff, but I'm gonna be honest here, and David can back me up. We're trying to get to as many people, and I've always considered myself to be sort of like the beginner guy. So I like to teach people the beginning like lessons of the 3D world, because if we do advanced stuff, especially for YouTube, it doesn't get views. It just gets buried, and it's a lot of wasted time. Producing like advanced content, because it usually requires more time as well to record and to prepare, and then it doesn't get the exposure that we would expect. So that's why we don't do it as much, and we try to focus on more like basic tools, basic techniques, basic workflows, so that people can get started. But yeah, I definitely want to do a more advanced or intermediate series. I'm thinking about doing like a more advanced weapon series, like a realistic weapon sort of thing, because I haven't done a weapon in a while. The last one I did was the lava axe. And yeah, exactly, as Sarn is saying there, since the channel is relatively new, we just started like 5 months ago, this new channel, people are expecting to see like the basic stuff first. So we will be definitely... One of the things that I want to do, Kingseer, is I want to do a sort of workshop thing later on. It's probably going to be next year, where we have live sessions, like live sessions on the Discord channel. Private sessions, of course, premium sessions, but we go over more advanced topics. But in order to get there, we need to get a lot of people on the intermediate level, right? So it will take a little while, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, this is looking cool. Now I'm gonna use some alphas. I do have some alphas. The orb brushes. You guys have probably seen this, guys. You can look them up on the Michael Vicente or Michael Cuevas. Michael Vicente, I think is his name. He created these brushes a couple of years ago. Well, several years ago. They're free on the Gumroad stuff, and it's all of this like slashes, like very stylized effects, sort of like WoW, World of Warcraft, or League of Legends style. And they're a very cool way to just get some extreme details right here. Did you know about World Skill Competition? No, I haven't seen that. Yeah, Roma, we can do something more advanced, like a creature. I definitely want to do a creature. I think creature might be the next premium course. I'm not sure. Thanks, Kingseer. Thanks. It's a new world we're discovering as well. Set this detail. This detail is very cool. It can be a little bit aggressive. Here's a trick. Look at this. This is a very like cool trick for you guys. When you're using an alpha and you drag it and it really like bumps or pushes the surface too much, that's because the alpha is not properly calibrated on the brush. So let's say we go here, like let's say I want to have that sort of like detail, but I don't want the surface to be like moved like it is doing right now. What you can do is you can go to alpha, modify, and on the mid value, you change the mid value to 50. And if you do that, you're gonna be able to project this thing without moving it too much. Of course, the intensity right there is too crazy, but as you can see, we do this and the surface is not moved as much because we're pushing the values, the 50% values, a little bit higher. So that's one way in which you can modify that as well. And modify the focal shift. That's, again, an option that we have there. I think the mid value right now is way too high. So I'm gonna bring this here. I'm gonna add a little bit of radial fade. There we go. So now we can increase the intensity. And as you can see, we can project or start projecting this sort of like stone texture without really modifying or changing the surface too much. You can play with your intensity depending on how much you want, but that should give us a nice little texture over the whole tower without really destroying the surface too much. Ibruard has a question, says, I'm studying at Think Tank, studying character modeling. Now I need to pick film or video game focus. Which one should I pick? I hear it's easier to transfer from game to film. Since the game is fast-paced, it's easier to go into film. I love modeling for both sides. Also, what do you think about AI? I'm scared of it. I'm scared about advancing in technology, but I'm scared of how companies might misuse it. Oof. So that's a big question. Where are you located? Can you share where you're located? I mean, I don't want to deox you or anything, but because geography does play a big role. I think games are easier to do worldwide because you don't need a lot of things to create a small game studio, for instance. And the films, you definitely need to be in like the big film areas. You need to be in Canada, you need to be in Hollywood, you need to be in London, because that's where the big production houses are. So it's difficult to do film if you're in a geographic zone where film is not done as much. Yeah, if you can move to LA, then film is, it might be easier to find a job in film because that's where the studios are, right? Now, as for skill transfer, I mean, some games are going very high on like cinematic levels. So yeah, the workflows are indeed a little bit different. Modeling wise, I think you're gonna find more opportunities in the game space because you need to optimize models a little bit more. In film, they're using a lot of photogrammetry nowadays and a lot of AI stuff nowadays. So a lot of things are getting automated. And there's a lot of cheats that go in film, because in film you only need to focus about the shot looking good. So there's a lot of like corners that you can cut when you're modeling. And in games you can't do that because you can't decide where the player is going to go. So if you really like the modeling and the sculpting process, I think games offers maybe a little bit more opportunities. Yeah, I think you're right, Roma. We definitely need a creature sort of thing. I kind of want to do a kaiju, you know, like a kaiju for film, like Udims, like really complex, maybe even Mari or something like that. Like do a really high poly skull, displacement maps, all that sort of stuff. I think that would be a cool premium course, like a kaiju course. And then maybe integrate it on live plate. I don't know, just throwing it out there. That might be a good idea. I don't remember if we already had something. Portugal don't have a good 3D industries. Hey, Daniel, I'm gonna give you a little tip there. If Portugal doesn't have good industries, I mean, who knows? You could start the first one. If you feel like you have the skills to start with small production house, that's what I did here. Like the city where I'm at, Saltillo, very few 3D people, or very few people doing 3D. So I just started my own studio. That's what we have. It's a small studio. Like we're never going to compete with Hollywood, but that doesn't mean that we don't get to do cool projects and have cool results. So I definitely want to add like the lines now. So I'm going to go with Damien Standard. I want to add some sort of like brick lines right there. I'm going to show you a quick trick here. I'm going to mask out the lines here. Go. Probably a little bit wider. There we go. Then we're just gonna invert the mask, and with scale, we can just like scale them in. We're still in Dynamesh, right? So if we do Dynamesh now, all of that's gonna be like new geometry, and we're gonna keep the detail. I need to definitely save this. Can you explain the difference between UDIMs and map sets? What do you mean by map sets, Sarn? Like when you bring it into Substance, you get like texture sets? Don't worry, welcome through the stream. Oh, the voice is breaking. Sorry, I'll wait. There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, the CPU just dies at that point. So yeah, that looks good. I like that. That's a little bit more detail to the rook. So the difference between texture sets and UDIMs. UDIMs is a single texture set that has multiple UV tiles, and therefore you can have a single material and it finds the texture for all of the tiles. Texture set is just its own material. So let's say you have a room and there's 10 objects in the room. If you want to texture all of the objects at the same time, one of the things that you can do is have all of the objects in a single UDIM. So it's going to be one material. It's going to be called something like room objects, and that room objects material will like deliver the textures to each specific object, even though they all have their own UDIM space. The other way is to have 10 different materials. Each one of them is going to be a texture set, and then you texture each one individually. And you can do both options in Substance. That's probably like the main question, like which one should you do? You can do both of them without any issue. Morph target. There was another question about morph target just a couple of comments ago. Is everything? Yeah, the stream is being recorded. It's going to be in YouTube soon as well. So morph target is an option to save a copy of the object. And now, for instance, we can like destroy the object, and at any point we can switch between the objects, and that allows you to have a little bit more control. Here, I'm going to show you a cool trick that I do for morph target. So I'm going to switch. So I'm going to delete the morph target. Let me save real quick before anything bad happens. There we go. So what we're going to do is we are going to store the morph target, and now this target right here, we're going to destroy it quite a bit, and I'm going to destroy it using surface. So I'm going to go noise. Open or not open. Let's go to the noise plugin. Let's use one of the new noises. Oh, actually, I'm not using 2024. Okay, so I'm just going to use this granite noise. Hit OK. The plugin scale. I'm going to mix the basic noise down. Gonna find. There it is. There we go. Using this granite noise to add all of this like damage to the rook. Very aggressive, as you can see. Something like that. Hit OK. Now all of this noise is just a preview. This is way too much, of course. Like I definitely don't want this to be as destroyed. And then I'm gonna use, I don't know, like from the light box, I'm gonna use the like this orb slash here as well. I'm just gonna start like modifying the surface. And all of these things that I'm doing, it's starting or it's being saved on the morph target. So at any point, again, if I go back to morph target, I can switch back to the original one. Oh, hey. Oh yeah. Wait. I haven't applied the noise. I was freaking out. Let's see. Let me see which one I'm at. Yeah, that's the clean. This is the dirty. So on the surface, I need to hit apply to mesh, and this is gonna actually make the noise active. That's inflating it too much. Let's bring the strength down. Oh. Apply to mesh. Still too much. Okay, I'm gonna do something a little bit different here. Gonna increase the strength. No, this is a marble noise that I got from the noise plugin. I'm gonna mask by noise. The mask by noise here, which should give a mask. It's probably gonna lag a little bit. Let's just wait there. There we go. I'm gonna invert the mask, and I can just use like the clay buildup to damage all of these areas. Because the noise is still gonna give me this sort of like effect that I'm looking for. You could even change this to like spray. As you can see, we're really heavily damaging the rook. This sort of like erosion. And now, again, all of this is happening on the morph target, so we still have the clean rook right there. So if we go to this clean one, we can use the morph brush now. BM, and then is it O? No, they changed it. Where is it? G, BMG. And it kind of works as a sort of like blend between the elements. So as you can see, since I know that on the other one we have this very erosion effect, I can very softly start hitting certain areas of the rook and bring back or bring in some of the erosion from the morph target. So it saves two states of your object, right? So it saves, like in this case, the destroyed effect or the destroyed stage and the clean stage. We go. Now when you're happy, you just delete the morph target, and now this is permanent. There's no going back. But that's one workflow that you can use for morph target. Very cool tool as well. Now damage a little bit more on the ground over here, on the base. Now, I don't want to overdo the damage. This is a very important like rule of thumb that I always share with you guys on the premium courses. You want to have a balance of clean areas or rest areas, as they call them, and then damaged areas. That way, you get a balance, and it's not overwhelming of just having like noise everywhere. So it's a very, very important distinction that we need to have. Yeah, that looks cool. I like this one. What do you guys think? Not bad, right? And if you see it on the table, it's probably gonna look like this big. Should be very obvious that this is the rook. That was, again, one of my goals when designing the initial shapes. Like, I want to make sure that people can see them and then find them. Actually, help me, guys, because I have a question here. Let's go here. One of the pieces that I'm most like concerned about is the rook, not the rook, the bishop. So the queen on the dwarven, this is going to be a dwarf king. This is going to be like a Valkyrie, just like a dwarven, like a female dwarf, but I don't want to make her like the new Lord of the Ring ones. I want to make her a little bit more like a powerful warrior queen. And then on the goblins, we're gonna have this fat goblin on top of a throne, and this one's gonna be like a witch, like a sorceress, sort of witch. It's gonna be the bad queen. And then for the dwarfs, the horse is gonna be, or the knight is gonna be a ram, like a stylized ram. And then the wolf is gonna be for the bishops. Bishop Constance is looking like a yeah, that's the thing. Like, I don't know what to do with the bishops, because I don't want to add a character. That's the big question. That's why you guys are gonna help me. I don't want to add a character. I want the characters to be the queen and the king. I think that makes it easier for pieces to be read. So we need a bishop. We need something that represents the bishop. And the problem is that the bishop, it looks very similar to the queen. It has almost the same height. It doesn't have anything distinct on the top part, so it's tricky. So what do you guys think? What should we do for a bishop for the dwarven pieces? What do you suggest? But that's the thing. I know cloth Kingseer might be interesting, but because usually bishop, I think like a mage. Again, I think like a wizard. That's why I created that tower, which was just like a magic tower thing. A dwarven religious symbol kind of thing. Like a totem? Just like a totem, but the totem then looks very close to the... Like, that's the thing. The bishop has to have the pointy hat. Okay? So this pointy hat right here, this sort of like shape that we have right here, that has to be on the bishop. Otherwise it's not like a bishop. Totem hammer. So we agree it has to be some sort of like magical device, right? Like this could be like a rune or something. Like Stonehenge, maybe? Then some like a runic bands over here. Make it with sphere and triangle shape that need to be based, but creative part of this is getting hard to think. Yeah. Yeah, it could be like again like a pedestal, a holy symbol. That the holy symbol I like. And the same thing can be for the dwarf, for the goblins. They can have like their own holy symbol, like a dark rune or something. And for this one, I was thinking about having like tree branches like growing around it. And again, like I was thinking like this guy's just like shoot magic or something. Sword buried in a stone? Not sure about that. Well, we'll have time to think about this. But yeah, like the bishop is definitely the one that I'm mostly... It should be a 45-ish sharp angle with roundness and slim. Yeah. It's a very sharp thing that it needs to be. Oh, we'll think about that one. We'll think about that one. We're not going to be doing it today. But I do want to add like the rune here. So let's look for some dwarven runes. Dwarven... Which are kind of like a variation of they're kind of like a variation of the Viking runes, right? So we can write a word, or we can just have like a symbol that represents the rook. What do you guys think? What's the R? R shape. It's just sort of like arrow. I don't like the arrow. The arrow looks weird. I like this one. That one looks interesting. Or even... let's try. Gonna be like... oh. Like here. We could have 4 different runes. Spell rook around the whole thing. What do you guys think? So what's the R? I like this one. This is Lord of the Rings. Okay, let's use this one. This one's a little bit different than the traditional like Viking runes. So what if we spelled a rook around the whole thing? I think that's a good idea. So the R is... sort of like triangular looking shape. Kind of like an umbrella. And then the O is like a V shape. A little legs right here. Got a rook again over here. And over here we would have decay. It's like a Y. There we go. I like that. I mean, it's just a single rune, but it spells rook, so that's it's a little, you know, little Easter egg there on the runes. I like that. Let's go to the wooden parts here. I want to just draw a little bit of the wood lines, because eventually if we 3D print this, we can paint them a single color, you know, like black or white, or you can paint them like with actual colors and paint this like wood and stuff. Like, I think that would depend. I think I will get this up in Gumroad or something, in case people want to 3D print their own chess set. Question is, what would a dwarf bishop look like? Oh, the horn! The horn is a good idea. The horn is a good idea. We'll go back to the drawing table in just a second. But yeah, that's it. That's the rook, my friends. Let's save this. Dwarf, rook. Now, how will we do the horn? We like the horn here. Then the heart of the mountain. Yeah, that works as well. I like the heart of the mountain. Okay, let's do a quick sketch of the horn. It would be like this sort of like support as well. Have some bands or something. Yeah, because I mean, I like this, but it's very like, it doesn't look like a bishop. And again, we want to make sure that anyone who sees the chessboard is like, that's the bishop. So that's a good option. Let's try the heart of the mountain. So again, the problem with this, or not the problem, but the challenge is that we need to make sure that the visual shape reads properly. So this is the visual shape of a bishop. That's how a bishop looks. Now, of course, we're changing shapes a little bit by going more into like the squarish effect. So all of this can be like adjusted slightly. More of a square sort of pedestal. Daniel, thanks for being here, my friend. I'll see you back on the next one, and see you on YouTube as well. What about the bishop's hat stood up, being forged in a dwarven anvil? Also, about center of weight is on the right place in printing. Is that a big issue? No. The center of weight doesn't really affect. It's not really that big of a deal. Oh, okay. Well, yeah, if you're doing a ghost and he's only being supported by a very like thin line, then yeah, that's a problem. There's a, you guys of course know Warhammer. So there's this one's right here, and you can see how they solve the issue here on the weight. So the weight is being supported by this rope right here and by the little like element right here. But it is tricky, like this sort of pieces where everything is being supported by a single point. You either need to make the single point of a different material that's like stronger and can hold the weight, or you need to find ways to balance the position, because these ones are tricky. Again, you can see all of them, all of their ropes, they touch the ground, and they're probably hollow on the inside of their capes, again, to save a lot of weight. So yeah, that's definitely a point. Yeah, let's just finish with this bishop idea, and we'll call it a day, okay? So heart of the mountain, yeah, that's what I originally was thinking of, like this sort of like gemstone. Because again, following the initial story that I was talking about, the dwarves found the stones and they polished them and harnessed their powers to use them for their own like good. While on the other side, on the goblin side of things, they found the stones, but they kind of like kept them in this sort of like crude state. Like they don't polish them or anything. They just gather the power, and that's why I was thinking about this sort of like tree shape, but again with like the pointy gemstone on the end. I like that. What do you guys think? I think this idea works. Gemstone on the pillar, simple and effective. And again, this is not meant to be like the centerpiece, right? Like the centerpiece characters are gonna be this guy, the queen and the king, of course, but everything should be like cool enough. So this also looks like an improved sort of like pawn. I think that works. I'm really eager to sculpt this one. This one was the one that inspired the whole set. I was like, oh, I really want to do a chess set, and I want to do dwarves, and I know that the dwarf is going to be a ram, like a World of Warcraft style ram. That's the horse. And then that's when I started like thinking about the other characters, like the wolf and the wooden towers and stuff like that. Yeah, I like this one. I like this one. I think gemstone on the top, and then the base. Again, simple, effective. It works. Cool. Well, I guess that's it, guys. Any other question? Anything else you want to talk about before we finished up? Remember, we got our courses available. We got the Maya course, a ZBrush course, and the Blender course ready in Udemy. And we got a lot of content in YouTube. Oh, one more thing, guys. I do want to talk about this one. Gumroad. If you go to Gumroad, I got several things there for you. So last week we had our, what's the word? Our class, and our class was a very cool class where we did hand painted textures. Let's see, how can we see this? Library? Let me try this. Critical. There we go. So on the Gumroad, we got this. Hey, where is it? Should be here. Why is it not here? It's very weird. It should be here. The files for the element should be here. I'm gonna check why they're not here. But we got stuff here on the Gumroad. In case you want to check it out, we got the models for 3D printing. If you have a 3D printer, you guys know I'm a huge fan of D&D, so we got some Pathfinder stuff in there as well. So yeah, that's pretty much it, my friends. It was a good stream. Thank you very much. No, I don't do any 2D concept art, but I have a good friend of mine that does. He's been doing the concept arts for several of our courses as well. So if you need something, send me a message on Discord and we can find something. But yeah, that's pretty much it, my friends. Thank you very much. I'm glad that we could make this very cool rook today. And hey, who knows? Maybe on the next couple of weeks we'll continue with some of the other pieces. And make sure to join our Discord channel as well. Nothing else that I can say. Sarn, thank you very much as well. Thank you guys. I'll see you back on the next one. Bye-bye.